doesn't often work the same way twice. He's a creative God, and so he likes to do things differently. He likes to do things uniquely. Moses is the only person to hear God speak out of a burning bush. Balaam's the only one who gets to hear a donkey talk to him. That God works in unique ways. But sometimes God does repeat himself a little bit. And we see one of those situations beginning in Joshua. And honestly, for a God that doesn't repeat himself very often, when he does, we should probably pay attention to why. And as the people start to enter the promised land, the first obstacle, the first barrier they have to deal with is the Jordan River. They got to get 2.5 million people across this river. And so God tells Joshua, hey, send the priests in, and I'll stop up the water, and you guys will cross on dry land, just like you did for the Red Sea. And it should take them back. It should remind them of that experience. And that's one of the reasons God does it this way, that he wants to remind the people. He wants them to remember what he has done before. He wants them to remember how faithful he has been to them. And, most of these people were children, teenagers, the absolute most, if they were born when they came out of Egypt. Their parents were the ones who were the adults who were coming out, who would remember that. They probably at least told them stories about it. A lot of them were probably children, and they could remember back. And I'm sure seeing the water of that river stopped up took them back in their mind, like, hey, remember when we walked across the Red Sea just like this? God is still doing miracles. God is still on our side. He's still taking care of us. And God is still powerful enough to do it. Those two reminders that God is faithful and God is powerful would have been huge for the people and for Joshua. But something that was just as important and just as big is that God is showing the people that he is with Joshua just like he was with Moses. That Moses was this incredible leader that met face to face with God, and those are some big shoes to fill. And as Joshua steps in, Moses gave him his blessing and clearly passed the baton and did lots of things in front of the people that showed that Joshua is the one God's chosen. You need to follow him just like you followed me. But now this is God stepping in and reminding the people, showing the people, just like I was with Moses, I'm with Joshua. And so you need to follow him. You need to trust him because he's listening to me and I'm going to be with him. That was hugely important, both for the people to know and for Joshua. I mean, what a confidence boost that, all right, God is showing the people that I'm the one they're supposed to follow, that I'm the leader of this people now, that I'm listening to him, but they're going to listen to me and they're going to follow me as we take this new land that God has promised us. All of those things are stuff God wanted the people to remember, and so after they've crossed over the river, all the people are crossed, the priests are still out in the middle of the dry river holding the ark, and God tells Joshua, send 12 men, one from each tribe, and have them pick up a rock. Have them get rocks, and they take them, and eventually they pile them up. They make this little monument to remember all of these things, to remember how God brought them not only across the Jordan River, but he brought them out of Egypt and sustained them in the wilderness, and that he's going to be with them. They're strong, powerful, faithful God is there with them. And every time they look at these rocks, they're supposed to remember that. For people that didn't know that story, that didn't know any of that stuff, if they're walking through that area and they see this pile of rocks, they're probably just like, okay, sweet, somebody put a pile of rocks over there. There must have been an 8-year-old boy hanging out here. But the people of Israel, those rocks mean something. To everyone else, they're just rocks. But to the people of Israel, those are a reminder of what God has done. And we're the same way. I mean, I don't have piles of rocks, but I have stuff that in the world's view is worth about the same as a pile of rocks. I got stuff all over the shelves in my office that has no worldly value. It has no monetary worth. But to me, it means something. To me, it has value because there's memories attached to that. There's relationships attached to those things, that people I love and care about, and things my kids have made, and things I've gotten, places I've gone, and things like that, that I have these souvenirs and these different things that the world sees no value, but to me, they remind me of things. They remind me of those people. They remind me of those times. And that's what these rocks were to be to Joshua and the people, because he wanted them to remember what God had done, remember how powerful he was. You and I need to remember the things that God has done in our lives. We need to remember how powerful he is, because just like God wanted to remind the people, hey, just how like I was with Moses, so I'm going to be with Joshua, we need to remember the same thing. Just like God was with Moses and just like God was with Joshua, God wants to be with us. He wants to be our powerful, faithful God that keeps his promises, that takes care of us, that leads us where he calls us to go. Love you guys. See you soon.